Morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Excellent.
Fine.
Warm enough?
Yeah. I mean, as I said to you earlier, this is taking the COVID ventilation requirements to the extreme, really, isn't it?
It is.
But it's good. The Lord created the outside for use by humans.
Yes, for their well-being.
For their well-being.
Excellent.
And it's not raining today.
Not yet. No, actually, not at all. It's
Not
beautifully
raining.
sunshiny.
It's sunshiny.
Yeah.
And there aren't any farmers' wagons at the moment going
Not
past.
yet. And the leaves are falling, and it's good.
It's full, yeah.
Did you have a nice holiday?
No.
I knew that was going to be the answer.
No.
Was it weather-related?
It was weather-related, yes. It was weather-related. I did say to my wife after the third day of consecutive rain that if ever I suggest we go on holiday in England again, she's to shoot me.
Oh dear. So you've double booked for Greece next year, have you?
Well, put on this. We've been to Wales many times, but you expect it to rain in Wales.
Yeah.
Because it's Wales.
Yeah.
Not that I'm dissing Wales, because I love the country very much indeed.
But it's wet.
But you expect that if you're around mountains, it's wet.
Yeah.
You go to the seaside in Cornwall, and you'd hope it would be at least dry, although where we went, of course, they were hoping for high winds for surfing,
Yeah.
and that was fine. But it rained non-stop.
Oh dear.
Although we did have a glorious 3 days in Manchester for our daughter's wedding. That was good.
Lovely.
That was lovely.
Excellent.
And Manchester being the capital of rain for England, it didn't rain too much.
Oh, there you go. Good. All right, okay. You've noted you need a bit of sunshine.
We need sunshine. It's here at the moment.
Yeah, but it's not warm, is it?
It's
I've got
all
my
right.
gloves on.
You've got your gloves on. I did notice this. Being a man, I'm trying to brave it out at the moment.
Here we are, back to the sexism.
That wasn't sexism, that was just a generalised comment that obviously the female breed feel the cold more.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, it's time of my life. I'm either freezing cold or boiling hot, and nothing in between. There we are.
Well, there we are.
So, St Luke today.
It is St Luke. That's because it's St Luke's Day on Sunday.
So when a Saint's Day coincides with a Sunday, the Saint's Day takes precedence.
It most certainly does.
Excellent.
Although it's up to you whether you take precedence. But I choose to take precedence because I think we should remember the major
Oh, that's
Saints'
the
Days.
garden waste, people. And our bin's not out.
Oh. In that case, then you need to go put the bin out quickly.
Excuse
We'll
me.
take
Take
our
a pause.
pause at this time. It could be the longest pause ever. Well, dear viewer, it's lovely to be on my own with you. Thank you for tuning in, and we do hope that you enjoy these broadcasts of Rev Chat. Now, the Reverend Neary is just coming back, having forced her husband to take the waste bin out.
He did it already, apparently.
But thank you for watching, literally, Rev Chat, because there was only one of us for a few moments. And I managed to get a few words in as well.
Outrageous.
Pause.
Right, is that our pause?
Neary is now going to read to you from Luke chapter 10.
This is Luke chapter 10, verses 1 to 9. After this, the Lord appointed 70 others and sent them on ahead of him in pairs to every town and place where he himself intended to go. He said to them, "The harvest is plentiful, but the labourers are few. Therefore ask the Lord of the harvest to send out the labourers into his harvest. Go on your way. See, I am sending you out like lambs into the midst of wolves. Carry no purse, no bag, no sandals, and greet no one on the road. Whatever house you enter, first say, 'Peace to this house.' And if anyone is there who shares in peace, your peace will rest on that person. But if not, it will return to you. Remain in the same house, eating and drinking whatever they provide, for the labourer deserves to be paid. Do not move about from house to house. Whenever you enter a town and its people welcome you, eat what is set before you, cure the sick who are there, and say to them, 'The kingdom of God has come near to you.' But whenever you enter a town and they do not welcome you, go out into its streets and say, 'Even the dust of your town that clings to our feet,'" oh, I've gone too far, "we wipe off in protest against you. Yet know this, the kingdom of God has come near." A few bonus verses there.
Go on, you've
Oh,
got to read the bit
I
about
tell
Sodom.
you, on that day, it will be more tolerable for Sodom than for that town.
Marvellous. It's good to get Sodom mentioned occasionally, just because we don't mention it very often. Yeah, I like St Luke's Day for one reason, because St Luke is the patron saint of doctors and nurses.
He is.
And we always used to have an annual St Luke's Day service for hospital workers.
Okay.
And often I would be given permission to leave my duty to go to the service because I was asked to read.
Lovely. What, being the
The only
nominated Christian on the ward, yeah.
Or something like that. Or because I was a friend of the hospital chaplain, probably. But that could have been it. But I've had many enjoyable St Luke's days. And, yeah. Of course, Luke, slightly different to the other gospel writers.
Go on.
Because he was a Gentile.
Yes.
He was also, as far as we can tell, a great friend of St Paul.
Yes.
Although
possibly, maybe.
It's suggested,
yes, that he accompanied Paul on some of his journeys.
It's also suggested that Paul was with him in prison.
Yeah.
Luke was with Paul in prison. He's also as far as I can tell, apart from John, and maybe Paul, according to how you understand it all, the only person to have written a gospel and a letter.
Yeah. Well, Acts is that a letter, or was it just not part 2 of the gospel?
Well, I don't know, because I'm not learned enough to understand all this. Except it's not given the name gospel, is it?
No, it's not given the name gospel.
So we don't know. And St John, of course, wrote 3 letters and his gospel, and a revelation, in fact.
Yes, if we assume that they're all the same author.
Well.
And this is the trouble, isn't it? Because it's all assumption, with some degree of evidence. It's like thinking that Luke is a physician, because that comes from Colossians.
It does.
But that's making, again, more assumptions that he was
Luke,
the
my
Luke
great physician.
Yeah, but assuming that that's the same Luke that is the gospel writer.
Yeah.
The other thing I discovered in my background reading was that the beginning of Luke's gospel is unique in that it has a dedication to someone called Theophilus.
It does.
And again, a bit like we've just been saying, Theophilus could have been a person, because it was common in the Greco-Roman world that rich benefactors might sponsor a book of history or law or whatever. So he could have been an actual person. Or of course I felt really stupid having read this morning. Theophilus means lover of God, theophile, like a francophile. And so actually it could be a general term just for people who love God. And so it may not be a person at all, but it may be directed at the fellow God lovers. And there's a suggestion that Luke was a Gentile, but sort of Jewish. I think they were known as God-fearers. So he would have followed. He was intrigued and interested in God, but wasn't willing to basically be circumcised.
I don't blame him personally. If that's what a God-fearer is, I'm quite happy to be one. A little known fact, but apparently true, is that Lenny Henry took Theophilus because he loved the name. For his character.
Theophilus P. Wildebeest. I remember him.
That is the one. He wouldn't have been sat out here today in the wind and the cold, not dressed as he would have been. So there we are. Yeah, and as far as we know, it's reported that Luke wrote this whilst he was in Greece.
Right. Have you been to the place where it's reported he wrote it?
No. I've been to 1 or 2 supposed places where Paul landed in various parts of Greece.
Yeah.
I've been to St Paul's Bay on Rhodes.
Right.
And I've been to part of Crete where he was supposedly blown in his...
Oh, on his boat, on his journey.
On his journey, on his way to Rome. But never know.
But Luke's also the evangelist, isn't he?
He is, because he wrote the Gospel.
Well, yes, but we don't talk about Paul the evangelist, do we? Or John the evangelist. We talk about Luke the evangelist.
Well...
Maybe they're all evangelists.
I often refer to them as evangelists.
Which basically means people who tell the good news.
Tell the good news.
So are you an evangelist?
I hope so.
Yeah. I think that word has a lot of... people sometimes disown the word, don't they? But we are. Well, if we're Christians.
The word they disown is evangelical.
Well, maybe,
because it has connotations of,
certain types of behaviour.
And carrying a leather-clad Bible to...
Careful.
Whatever. Oh, have you got
We don't deal in
Sorry.
stereotypes. No, not this one,
no,
actually.
no.
My leather-clad Bible's inside.
Inside, that's
Yes,
okay.
along with my gilet.
And,
But
I've left my chinos at home. And having done that, we've now done the complete
we've now insulted all.
everybody. So I'm sorry, Andy Perry, if you're watching. We didn't mean to upset you, Jonathan Triffid. Others who I may have upset in one fell swoop.
Anyway,
Luke,
but this is all about being sent out, isn't it?
being sent out.
To tell the good news.
It is.
And this is a unique story to Luke.
It is very.
So it's not in the other synoptic Gospels or in John.
That's why it's unique to Luke.
Well, it's just, you can tell you've had a couple of weeks off.
Yeah.
You're quite difficult.
Unique being that it's, usually only him who's done it.
Oh, will you shush.
All right. So there
Anyway,
we are.
so what have you got to offer then?
Well, it's a common. When we're talking about ministry, as we often do today, or mission, or whatever you want, whichever of the two terms it strikes you, we talk about what the responsibility of us all is towards spreading the good news, and how we send all of us are sent out by God to proclaim the good news, to bring people into the fold, to understand who Jesus is for their lives, etc., etc. And this story is about doing that, isn't it? Go, says Jesus. Yep. 70 others have been sent out. No, that means he's sent out some already.
Yeah.
So he's another 70. So they're going out in pairs, I think.
Yep.
So 35 pairs of people are sent out to go to every town. That could have taken a long time.
It's going to take a while, isn't it? Yeah.
And off you go, and there's lots to do. The harvest is plentiful. There's lots of people to be gathered in, which is good at this time of year, although we're coming to the end of harvest. Go and glean as many people as you can, and bring them to understand whatever. Now, this is going to be a dangerous task, says Jesus.
Yeah.
Because in effect, I'm sending you out into the wilderness like a lamb, and you could be,
Devoured by wolves. Yeah.
devoured by a wolf. And what's even more exciting for you, you can't have any money, and don't take any bags. And I don't know, you're going to get on without your bag. That's going to be difficult, isn't it? And you can't have any sandals, and greet no one on the road. Now that seems strange, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I guess if you stop to keep talking to everybody, you're never going to get to the job in hand. And go and do this. Now, he said, you're going to find a number of things. When you get to a house and you knock on number 36 Acacia Close or whatever, they're either going to welcome you with open arms, and if they do, you're going to say peace on this house, or they're going to say get lost.
And if they say get lost, off you go.
Don't waste any time. You can go back to them later. Don't waste the time, because there's no point. There's so much to be done. Now, I think that's an interesting story for today.
There is. There's a sense of urgency.
Yep.
There's a sense of having to rely on God rather than rely on our own stuff and skills and stuff. So we're kind of being stripped away from our support.
Yep.
And being sent out with God's provision rather than our own.
Exactly.
It's a scary place, isn't it?
It's all according to how much you trust God, I guess.
Well, true.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's been the beauty of so many people. There are so many who just trust God and can go and do it.
Yeah.
Because they believe that's how God is going to look after them, and He's going to protect them. You just have to take the challenge.
It's interesting the order of things that they're required to do. It says you need to eat what is set before you.
Yep.
So you get to have food first.
Yep.
And a lot of our ministry is based on food, isn't it?
It is.
Eating what's set before us.
It is.
And then cure the sick. That's the number second thing.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is tell them that the kingdom of God has come near. So it's sitting down with people first.
Yep.
And then it's ministering to their needs second.
Yep.
And then finally it's saying, this is the good news, the kingdom of God has come near.
I guess once you've sat down and met with them and you've attended to their needs, they're more likely to listen to you. So
Yeah.
you're in there.
But that's a model for ministry that we use, isn't
Of course it is.
It's about welcome, it's about hospitality, it's about being alongside people and ministering to what their needs are.
It is.
And it's about revealing the kingdom. It's a holistic. I hate that word. It's a holistic approach. It's all the things together.
Yeah.
And that seems to me to be a integral part of what the church is called to do. to offer hospitality. Well, I guess the problem is in this passage, it's not the church or the group of Christians offering hospitality, it's the people they're going to see, isn't it? They're receiving hospitality rather than offering it.
I mean, at this point in time, whilst there are obviously a number of people who are followers of the way or committed towards Jesus now, there are still lots of people on. So as he says, the harvest is plentiful. There's lots to go and gather, and so they were going out full of the good news because they were convinced that Jesus was the way and the truth and the life, as St John would write it, not Luke. And people have got to know Jesus for themselves.
And it's a choice.
And it's a choice.
You're given the choice.
And now I fear slightly for today, in some spheres of church life, using church as a word for gathering of people, that we often do it because we want to keep the.
I know where you're going with this.
If we're not careful, we can often be doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
we must never lose sense of the fact that we want to share the good news because we believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the way for our lives. Yeah. And not just because, our congregations are dwindling.
Yes.
Let's get a few more on the pew.
We need to keep the show on the road. Yeah.
And of course, with any organised church, and it's not just the Church of England, because there are many organised churches or denominations. Yeah. The fight always seems to be, let's get them into our denomination, as opposed to let's bring people to know Jesus for themselves. Yeah. And that's part of the balance we've had to try and keep in our team, of course, over the last number of years, because we want to bring people to know Jesus. But on the other hand, we've got umpteen buildings which need keeping up. Yeah. And it's not being afraid, I hope, to be able to say, those who want to keep the buildings, very good. It's a good thing for the land because they're historical, etc., etc., etc. But the more important thing is to bring people to Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly it. And we had our first LPA training session last night. We're training some new pastoral assistants and new worship leaders in the deanery, and this exact question kind of came up about what, so a pastoral assistant is someone who does the second need on this list, who goes and prays with people and walks alongside them in their sickness or in their strife or their troubles or whatever, meets their pastoral needs, and alongside in a team, along with everyone else. And of course, the discussion tipped into, but I've been doing this for ages, and it doesn't make any difference to the size of the Sunday congregation.
Exactly.
And I said it doesn't matter.
It shouldn't do. It shouldn't do.
And this is all about good news, and good news is not. It might be for some people, but I suspect it isn't. Good news is not saying come and be part of this organisation because we need your skills. It's about saying come and know the source of life and truth and love for yourself, and know what it means to live in God's kingdom.
It's about recognising, it's at the very end of this, know this, the kingdom of God has come near for you. Yeah. Personally, individually. Yeah. And if in bringing people to know Jesus and to recognise that the kingdom has come near for them, eventually they understand that perhaps as being sharing in worshipping with others. And the key for what we do is about giving God his glory, his full worth, which I understand the word worship to mean. Give God his full worth. And that means, and that encourages people to come together to be able to do it, because that's good. Yep. But it's not about keeping a structure. It shouldn't be. No. It can't be. But of course it is in many ways, and we've got to try and get people to understand that when they're giving, they're not giving to keep the building up, they're giving to allow the mission and the ministry of God's church to continue. Yeah. And they're giving to allow us to, be telling the children and young people in our communities that this is good news and God is a God of love, and to meet people in their need and to help run the food bank and to give away, across our harvest festivals this last couple of months, we've given away lots of money to various different charities to support water aid and to twin toilets and to twin taps and all kinds of things. The life of the church is about
the people it serves, not the people who are in it, but it's about bringing people to that understanding of faith, changing their lives.
Yeah, I will always believe that there is an importance in gathering people together of a like mind to share in worship. But it's the worship that's important and nothing else. Yes, the fellowship that comes out of that is important as well. Yes, the desire to want to know more, so you could join a study group or be part of a prayer community, are all important. But the first thing that we as people of God have got to do is get out there and say to people, do you actually realise your life can be so different when you recognise Jesus and his kingdom for you?
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to keep on doing.
Absolutely.
And that's what St Luke did.
He did.
Apart from cure people himself and perhaps stick a few pins in people because they get abscesses or something, I'm not quite sure.
But he was all about the good news.
He was all about the good news. And for that we rejoice.
Amen. You can find out more about the good news through watching Rev Chat, through seeing us on Facebook and finding on our website at Beaminster Team, beaminsterteamchurches.org. Come and join us on a Sunday. You're very welcome, and find out more about Jesus, who we love and serve. And we'll see you very soon. Take care. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye-bye. Over there.